Being alone is a power. What if your greatest strength isn't found in the crowd, but in the stillness of your own thoughts? What if your next breakthrough isn't born from applause, but from solitude, silence, and relentless self-mastery? Have you ever wondered why the most powerful men in history chose isolation before impact, why they retreated before they rose? Because real transformation doesn't happen when you're surrounded, it happens when you're still, focused, alone with your purpose. Welcome to Stoic Today, where growth doesn't begin with noise, but with clarity, conviction, and calm power. Before you go any further, take one bold step toward the life you're meant to live. Hit the subscribe button, leave a meaningful comment, and allow this message to spark something deeper inside you, something that drives change from within. We're honored you're here. Your time is not taken for granted. Every piece of content we create is built to fuel your evolution, sharpen your discipline, and awaken the quiet strength inside you. Now, let's go even deeper. Because the truth is, being alone isn't a weakness, it's a training ground, a sacred space where vision is born, resilience is forged, and men become unshakable. So don't run from the silence. Don't rush to fill the void. Embrace it, master it, let it build you. Because once you do, nothing and no one will ever have power over you again. Keep listening to the powerful content that follows, designed to help you rise through adversity, stay grounded in discipline, and create a life of wealth, success, inner peace, and lasting fulfillment. Subscribe to Stoic Today right now, and take the first real step toward becoming the man you were always meant to be. Please listen to the next great content. When a lion is hungry, it doesn't follow the crowd, it detaches from the pack, focused and unbothered. That lion doesn't need applause or approval before it moves, it just moves. Imagine if that lion hesitated, worried about what others thought. It would starve. The same principle applies to you. Most people fear being alone because they believe it means something's wrong. But that's the illusion society sells. True power is born in solitude. You learn to move without needing permission. You grow sharper, more focused, more relentless, not because others push you, but because you refuse to wait for their approval. Because the truth is, solitude is where true power is built. Look at the strongest, most disciplined, most successful individuals in the world. Do you think they became that way by always being around people? No, they had to step away. They had to isolate. They had to spend time with themselves, training their minds, sharpening their focus, and building a foundation that couldn't be shaken by outside noise. Most people can't handle being alone because it forces them to face reality when there's no one around to distract you. No conversations to fill the silence, no validation to boost your confidence, what's left just you. And that's exactly why solitude is so powerful, because in that space you see yourself for who you really are. No masks, no pretending, no hiding behind others, just you, your thoughts, and the truth. And here's the thing, that truth might be uncomfortable. You might realize you're not as disciplined as you thought. You might see the weaknesses you've been covering up with distractions. But if you have the courage to sit in that space, to confront those things, you have the power to change them. The greatest minds in history, leaders, visionaries, warriors, they all understood this. They knew that before they could lead others, they had to master themselves. Before they could take on the world, they had to go into the wilderness alone and train. That's how champions are made. Because when you're alone, you're in full control. You decide how you spend your time. You set your own standards. You hold yourself accountable. And when you do that long enough, something happens. You become unshakable. Your confidence stops coming from outside approval. Your discipline stops depending on external motivation. Your strength stops being tied to whether or not people support you. At that point, you're dangerous because the person who has trained alone, who has faced themselves, who has built their power in solitude, they don't need the world's permission to succeed. They just do it. Silence makes most people uncomfortable. They drown it out with music, television, social media, constant conversations, anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. But what they don't realize is that silence is the breeding ground for success. Think
about it. The greatest ideas, the deepest realizations, the most powerful decisions don't come in the middle of noise. They come in stillness, In the moments when you step away from the distractions and actually listen to yourself, to your instincts, to the lessons life is trying to teach you. Most people don't take that time. They're too caught up in the external world, reacting to everything, running from one thing to the next, never pausing to ask themselves, what do I really want? Where am I going? Who am I becoming? But the ones who do, the ones who embrace silence, who use it, instead of fearing it, they move differently. They are clear, they are sharp, they're focused. Because when you master the quiet, you gain an advantage over those who can't function without noise. Athletes, warriors, leaders, every single one of them understands this before a battle, before stepping onto the field, before making a major move. What do? They get quiet, they lock. Control, true control doesn't come from managing what's outside. It begins in the mind, in the stillness, in those quiet hours when no one's watching. That's when you either fall victim to chaos or master it. Discipline is born not in response to pressure, but from choosing structure in freedom. If you can govern yourself when no one else does, you're no longer reacting to life, you're leading it. To plan, to strategize. And when they finally step out into the world, they move with a level of precision and power that others can't match, because while everyone else was running from silence, they were sharpening themselves in it most. People fear being alone. They think solitude is a sign of weakness, a punishment, and something to be avoided at all costs. But if you look at the greatest men in history, the ones who changed the game, who built empires, who reached levels most, people only dream of, they all had one thing in common. They embrace being alone because loneliness and solitude are not the same thing. Loneliness is when you feel empty, like you're missing something. Solitude, that's where power is built. That's where legends are made. Most people chase crowds. They want to be liked and they want to fit in. They think the more people they have around them, the stronger they are. But the truth, the stronger you become, the fewer people you'll have around you. Not because you push people away, but because most people aren't built for the level you're reaching. Look at the top athletes, the top entrepreneurs, the top warriors. Do you think they spend their days in constant company? No, they train alone, they think alone, they push themselves when no one's looking, when no one's cheering, when no one's watching, because they know that the real battle isn't out there in the world, it's inside. It's the battle against doubt, against fear, against weakness. And that battle is fought in silence, but most people avoid that fight. They stay surrounded by noise, by people, by distractions, because they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to sit in that quiet and confront their weaknesses, their flaws, their excuses. They'd rather be entertained than transformed. But the ones who embrace solitude, they grow, they level up, they sharpen their minds, they strengthen their discipline, become unstoppable. Not because they had a crowd hyping them up, but because they learned how to stand on their own. If you always need people around to feel strong, then you're not strong. Real strength comes from being alone, and still. Being solid, from walking alone and still moving forward. From discipline isn't a talent, it's a choice. Repeat it until it becomes identity. Most never reach it because they only move when watched. But when you push forward with no crowd, no reward, no validation, that's when real discipline is carved. Those who rely on external motivation will collapse when it disappears. But those who train in solitude, they endure, they rise, and nothing can break them. Outside world dictate their actions. They go to the gym when their friends go. They work hard when someone is watching. They stay consistent when there's an external reward. But take all that away. Remove the audience. Remove the competition. Remove the pressure. And what happens? They fall apart. That's the difference between those who are truly disciplined and those who just play the part. The disciplined don't need an audience. They don't need motivation. They don't need anyone to hold their hand. They wake up and do what needs to be done. Because that's just who they are. And the only way you become that kind of person is by spending time alone, training yourself in silence, mastering your own mind without anyone else pushing you. Look at the greatest warriors, the greatest leaders, the greatest athletes. They didn't become disciplined because someone was always watching over them. They became disciplined in the hours nobody saw, in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the moments when they could have slacked off but didn't. Discipline is built when no one is watching, when there's no applause, no validation, no instant reward, when it's just you, your goals, and your ability to stay committed, even when it's hard. But most people can't do that. They rely on external forces. To keep them accountable, they wait for the perfect moment, the perfect situation, the perfect motivation, and that's why they never reach their full potential. Because discipline isn't about waiting, it's about showing up every single day, no matter how you feel, no matter who's watching, no matter what's going on around you. If you can master that, if you can train yourself to be disciplined even in solitude, you become untouchable. Because at that point, nothing controls you. No distractions, no excuses, no outside forces. You move because you choose to move. Not everyone is meant to come with you. And that's one of the H-test truths to accept. Most people think success is about gaining more money, more recognition, more people in their corner. But real success, real growth, it's about letting go. Letting go of the things, the habits, and most importantly, the people that are holding you back. Because the higher you climb, the more weight you have to drop. Look at a rocket when it takes off. It doesn't carry everything with it. The higher it goes, the more parts it sheds. Because if it held on to everything, it wouldn't make it. It would stay stuck, weighed down by the very things that were once necessary at the beginning. Now think about your own life. Look at the people around you. Are they helping? If you rise, or are they keeping you grounded? Are they pushing you forward? Or are they making excuses for why you should stay the same? This is where most people get stuck. They fear separation. They hold on to old friendships, old habits, old environments, because they don't want to feel alone. They'd rather stay comfortable than that. But comfort is the enemy of growth. And if you refuse to separate, you will never rise. And greatness demands isolation. It demands that you pull away from the crowd, from the distractions, from the people who don't share your vision, not because you think you're better, but because you have a different path, a higher calling. And if they can't see it, if they can't match your discipline, if they can't grow with you, then they don't belong in the next chapter of your life. Life, it's not personal. It's necessary. Because elevation isn't just about skill, it's about mindset. And if you're constantly surrounding yourself with people who don't think like you, who don't move like you, who want more for themselves, eventually they will pull you back down to their level. So ask yourself, who are
you holding on to that's keeping you stuck? What habits are you refusing to let go of that are stopping you from reaching your potential? Because the truth is, if you want to elevate, you have to separate. And the sooner you accept that, the faster you rise. If you can't stand being alone, you'll never stand strong. Most people think strength comes from numbers, from being surrounded by people, from always having someone to lean on, but true strength, it's built in. Solitude, it's built in the moments when you have no one to turn to, but yourself. Think about a warrior. A real warrior doesn't rely on the crowd. He doesn't need constant reassurance, constant validation, constant company to feel strong. No, he trains alone. He sharpens his mind alone. He prepares for battle alone. Because when the time comes to fight, he knows he can't depend on anyone else. He has to stand on his own. That's how you need to think about life. Most people are afraid to be alone because they don't trust them in themselves. They don't trust their own mind, their own discipline, their own ability to keep pushing forward without someone else pushing them. And that's why they stay weak, because they never give themselves the chance to develop true self-reliance. But the ones who embrace solitude, they become unbreakable. When you learn how to be alone, you learn how to take control of your own life. You stop waiting for someone to tell you what to do. You stop relying on external motivation. You stop needing approval, applause, or attention to feel like you're on the right path. You move because you decide to move. You work because you choose to work. You grow because you demand it from yourself, not because someone else is watching. And when you reach that level, when you train yourself to stand alone, you realize something you don't need. The world needs Jay. Because people follow those who don't follow the crowd. People respect those who don't crave validation. People are drawn to those who have built their own power in silence. But you can't get there if you're afraid of being alone. You can't get there if you constantly need noise. Distractions or people around to feel strong strength isn't given. It's earned through discipline, through sacrifice, through solitude. So if you can't stand being alone, ask yourself, are you truly strong? Or have you just been leaning on others for so long that you've forgotten how to stand on your own? You have two choices in life. You can fear being alone, run from silence, and stay dependent on the noise, the validation, the opinions of others, or you can step into solitude, embrace the quiet, and build yourself into someone. The world is never transformed by those who blend in. It's moved, shaken, and reshaped by those who have the courage to walk alone. It's easy to echo the noise of the crowd. It's easy to copy trends and follow the path of least resistance. But to carve your own path, that takes something greater. It takes vision. It takes unwavering purpose. And more than anything, it takes silence. If you're truly ready to become unforgettable, begin by becoming unshakable. Step away from the noise, step away from distractions, from people who drain your energy, and from anything that no longer aligns with your mission. This isn't isolation, it's elevation. Use this quiet season to build in the dark what no one can yet see. Train when no one's watching. Sharpen your mind. Strengthen your body. Cement your focus. Let solitude shape your soul, not sink it. Because true transformation doesn't happen in the spotlight, it happens in the shadows, in the silence, in the moments where discipline becomes identity. And when you step back into the world, don't be surprised if people no longer recognize you. You won't think the same. You won't move the same. You won't need what you once did. Because you'll no longer be the man chasing validation, you'll be the man who built himself in solitude. Being alone is not weakness. It's the birthplace of power, the crucible of character, the space where legacies are born. So go, claim your greatness. Step boldly into the man you were always meant to be. Thank you for listening to this message. If it lit a fire in you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Stoic today right now, and make this your home for daily clarity, strength, and purpose. Share your journey in the comments. We want to hear how you're rising. Forward this message to a brother who's ready to wake up and rise higher. Your next chapter begins now. Press play and start building in silence with power.